Hello guys, and now we clearly see that the more problems Putin has inside Russia, the more active he becomes with his threats on the international arena. Today, Ukrainian drones have managed to destroy two very important targets in Chechnya. That is one of many republics now oppressed by the Kremlin, but with a great potential to become independent. There, Ukrainian drones neutralized an FSB base, thumbs up for that, and also a base of Akhmat regiment. These are soldiers of Kadyrov, totally controlled by Putin puppet that is a traitor to his own people. But what is important apart from these destructions is the fact that the front lines extended that deep inside the Russian Federation. That is clearly the sign that Putin does not control anything, and he's preparing to save himself with the help of some American businessmen that I don't know why represent Russia's interests on all the negotiations with Ukraine. And today Putin even threatened Europe, saying that he's prepared to attack if it is necessary. And this is a typical Kremlin speech. You know, before the full-scale invasion, before 2014 invasion, they kept saying that is impossible. But the more they actually mention your country, mention your union, the more likely that they are preparing something evil. And during these previous months, we definitely witnessed lots of Russian sabotage, cyber attacks, and drones around the EU cities. So now is not the time to appease the Kremlin dictator that has all of Russia burning, his economy collapsing, his oil industry destroyed. Now is the time to defeat, demilitarize, and serve the justice. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the only working peace plan being implemented, subscribe. We discuss all of that literally every day. So last night or this night, two important sites inside Chechnya were on fire. Number one was in Gudarmes, that is a comparatively big city in Chechnya, that is far from the Ukrainian border, and Akhmat regiment base was located there. I'm saying was because it was destroyed by the Ukrainian drones that managed to travel unstoppable to the very heart of Kadyrov soldiers. Many of you, when speaking about the dissolution of the Russian Federation, fear that after its collapse, inevitable collapse, I have to add, people like Kadyrov will have access to various weapons, decision-making processes, but you clearly don't understand that vertical of power in Russia. The moment Putin disappears, all of his puppets disappear too. So if we don't want Putin, Kadyrov to threaten the world with nuclear weapons, for example, our task is to defeat them. The sooner, the better. Another important site targeted by the Ukrainian drones was an FSB base in Akhmat-Martinsky region of the Russian Federation. By the way, the very name of that region combines the Chechen original for this location name with the Russian one. And many of you remember that in the 90s there were two very bloody wars in Chechnya. These nations wanted to be free. They are very far from the ideals of the Ruski Mir doctrine. They live a very different kind of life. They speak the different language. They are Muslim. Their family traditions, their cultural traditions are definitely very far away from the one in Moscow. But using this scorched earth policy, the Kremlin managed to oppress them and impose that totally artificial for the mindset of Chechen people, Kadyrov. So the moment he loses the support from the Kremlin, his own people will change him. And actually, the fact that so many different sides that are supposed to impose fear on the local Chechens to explode is very dangerous. It's like, a gunpowder plot or something, because that very territory is filled with protest, with dissatisfaction. These are people who fought very fiercely for their independence. They are now oppressed but what they witness when such Akhmat regiment bases are destroyed, or when this FSB base is on fire, that the evil regime that oppressed them is weak, that the Kremlin regime does not control the airspace of the Russian Federation, cannot, prevent Ukrainian drones from reaching that deep, extending the front lines to the very deep rear of the Russian Federation. But this is a good sign for those who think about the future of Chechnya as an independent country. So I am sure that for the Kremlin, it's a very warning sign that we are able not just to reach that location, but to destroy these symbolic special forces sites like Kadyrov's personal soldiers and an FSB base. And once again, I believe this deserves a separate like. And what's also important to remember that many more sites are targeted by Ukrainian drones or our homemade missiles every day. I don't have enough time to report because unfortunately there are so many of political diplomatic betrayals or very anxious moments, and that's why I combine it. But once again, there was an oil refinery in Saratov region on fire again, one more tanker. So we are implementing the only working peace plan, and that is to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And I believe that more and more people understand that, especially in this totally abnormal context when, let's be realistic, I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure it won't be difficult to guess. Why do a couple of American businessmen with ties to Donald Trump represent Russia on the negotiations with Ukraine? These are not even American politicians like, I don't know, Rubio or even Hexet. These are just two businessmen. One is Trump's son-in-law, another one is his golf club friend, who organized these negotiations and, what's worse, represent the Kremlin on them. That's what we talk about in Ukraine, if you want to know. And I believe that this is an extremely awakening experience to the European Union. At least I want to believe so, because we see they are trying to change doctrine to allow some preemptive strikes, to speak about counteroffensive information operations, cyber attacks, and that is already a very good sign. And at the same time, today Putin openly spoke about the possibility to attack Europe, which he of course doesn't want to, but might be necessary. And this is totally the same he said about Ukraine. And even now, maybe those of you who don't speak Russian, who do not watch Russian TV, lucky people, I have to do it from time to time. You think that he's constantly very aggressive to Ukraine, he speaks like super bad. No, he tries to describe like that the people are good and the people are victims of the regime. And that's exactly what he speaks about Europe now. He speaks about the evil leaders of the European Union or the evil military NATO representatives, but the people are good. And at the same time, they keep bombing these good people. They keep liberating them to the scorched earth. So it's not the time to appease with Putin because his budget is empty. He has like half of the Russian Federation, not just Russia, but all the Russian Federation on fire. There are so many troubles inside his country. And this is when he goes out and starts addressing the global audience with different threats, while using this American businessman to lobby the Kremlin interests. And once again, even if we think about America first, then Russia is not the best partner. Russia has a really small GDP. Russia is incompatible with the European Union, incomparable with, I don't know, France or Germany. It has a smaller GDP than one Italy, and there are way more countries in the European Union. So I obviously do not understand the reason for this enthusiasm to reboot the relations with Russia when it literally cannot give you anything. And why break your long time, century-long friendship with European countries that have never betrayed you like Russia did. So I believe that more and more nations are awakening, and they now see Ukraine not as a burden but as an asset, because we do know how to defeat and demilitarize Russia. Just do not betray us. Do not surrender instead of us. You know, there is one more joke here inside Ukraine. I hope you will forgive me, but they say in a war between Ukraine and Russia, the White House was first to surrender. You know, sometimes YouTube is not very kind to us, and I've experienced some, you know, like lower views. So to help the algorithm, could you actually leave a comment saying where are you watching me from? That would be nice to know, and I'm always happy to see how global our community is. Love you very much. Thank you for your support. I know the difference between the people of the United States and just a couple of businessmen who want I don't know what. And thank you once again for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. Remember to check our merch shop for lots of good and meaningful presents, and that they magically turn you into ambassadors of Ukraine. And of course, follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and Discord. You will find these links in the description of the video. Thank you once again. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!